All right, everybody, welcome back. Best start of their day. I know everybody's tired of listening to Ackerman do his motivational speeches on the short podcast. So I am back by massive popular demand with my good buddy. You may be the only third time guest here, Dave.
Oh, well, shit. It was already an honor. Now I feel like the bar's set way too high.
Yeah, so Dave Colina from O2. But we're going to talk about a couple different things. But just to clear the air, so we've been doing a lot of things behind the scenes. That's why we've been a little bit behind on podcasts. We will catch back up, absolutely. It'll be better than ever before. Kind of starting with this conversation here. But first and foremost, Dave, always good to chat with you, brother. Always find these to be very valuable, selfishly. What have you been up to, bro? What's going on?
We've had a lot going on, like everybody else, listening anyway. COVID has transformed our business in a lot of ways. It's made some things really, really challenging, and it's brought up other things that have kind of we've turned into opportunities. But we've been humming since we last left off. I think the last time that we talked, at least on this podcast, was during a stay for May,
yep.
and the concept around that. And that was probably the most impactful thing I've ever done, and probably the most impactful thing that O2 has ever done as a brand.
That's really cool.
And it was something that after we saw the success of that, we started thinking how else we could apply that and what else we could do in line with that to help. And so that's what we.
So what did that look like? What, like when you're kind of doing the evaluation on the effectiveness of
mm-hmm.
that idea?
Yep.
Were you happy with it? Did you get anywhere close to what you projected?
Yeah, it was interesting because we kind of came up with that on the fly, and we were riding by the seat of our pants with the community coalition in March and April anyway,
yeah.
And that was sort of the finishing touch of that. And to my knowledge, no group or no brands have ever done anything like that before, and so it was.
I feel confident saying that. I mean, I've been around for 12 years and I'm not aware of anything.
Yeah. And so we haven't seen anything like that. And it was either going to be a really, really big win or a really, really big loss. There wasn't going to be a gray area in between.
Swing for the fences, bro.
But you can usually tell, like early on when you announce something or when you launch something, whether it's a new program at the gym or, a campaign as a brand or whatever, you can tell pretty early on by the customer response.
Mm-hmm.
And when we announced that initiative at the end of April, I mean, we had more inbound from gyms wanting to participate and members wanting to make sure their gym could participate, more inbound in 4 days in April than we had probably the preceding 4 years combined. I mean, it was nuts. It was everybody on the team around the clock responding to emails. And so the early indication was people really dig this. I mean, we had people telling us it was keeping them in business. It was more than, anyone had ever done for them ever. It was the thing that was preventing them from throwing in the towel in a really tough time. And so that was really energizing, because we feed off that stuff,
It was the first thing, at least in my memory, that was targeted directly at the affiliates, right? So
mm-hmm.
A lot of people have had a lot of different endeavors, but they've all been around a fundraiser that was external
mm-hmm.
to the affiliates, which I have no beef with. I think that's totally cool. The games, CrossFit HQ, but nobody's ever come in and said, hey, this is for you guys. Everything that we're doing is targeted toward making sure that you can stay afloat at this point. So again, it's one of those things where I think intent matters. Obviously there's a difference between intent and effect, but I think the effect probably matched the intent here.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. And, looking back on it, the original premise was let's provide gym owners with something of a bridge to get them through May, so that they can retain members. They can use this to incentivize anybody who's on the fence to get off the fence, because a lot of our clients were still shut down. I think, 96% of gyms were shut down, something like that.
It was
crazy.
Lot. I don't remember what it was.
And so the intention was effectively to use this as a mechanism to equip gym owners to reward loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on that, it still blows my mind that loyalty rewards haven't quite made their way into our space yet, and that's really what we're trying to, trying to pioneer, in a sense, is different ways that gyms can win, brands can win, and members can win. I mean, it is a win-win-win for everybody, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up the loyalty, because that was a theme when we did the dropping in series, and when we went to Raleigh. That was pretty much a common theme across all those gyms, is that they incentivized attendance.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a big chump when I'm going to all these gyms. I'm like, damn, we don't do that.
Right.
So it was one of the first changes that I made when we came back from that trip, and
right.
we're still revising it and trying to find ways to make it more and more inclusive. Yeah. But one of the biggest lessons that I've taken away, I mean, there's been multiple from all of this, is figure out how to give back more.
Totally, 100%.
Right, because relationships largely, with the exception of some really catastrophic scenarios, will supersede almost all outside variables. Right. Like you'll win out, but not if those relationships are not really cemented in stone. So we really kind of thought outside of the box, is like, okay, how do we take care of people in different ways, whether it's like make sure that we can get them food, or like create, I mean, we just got really, really crazy to include like just giving people equipment. Like, I don't mean like renting it out. I mean, like, here's a rower. This is a gift. This is a gift for you, so.
But nobody does shit like that. That's the thing. I mean, we live in a world where so much of the orientation is towards taking. And people know, I think, intellectually that giving is a good thing, sharing is a good thing, but that's not practiced that much. If it was, we wouldn't be talking about it, because it would be par for the course. Right. But man, like this has shown me, this year especially, has shown me the power of taking a community-oriented, sort of heart-forward approach, and just setting your own interests and your own ego aside and leaning into an opportunity to help others, and
it's counterintuitive as a business owner.
It is, for sure, because you're especially when there's a fucking global pandemic that comes out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Your first reaction is hoard resources,
everything.
Yeah, totally. But I'm, we've done plenty of things wrong over the years, but we did, I'm very proud that our first reaction was not to pull away, and it was not scarcity. It was figure out what we can do to help. Right. And that the karma in that, like, I've been a believer of personal karma for a long time, but man, we have seen a tremendous amount of business karma, you know?
It's worth saying, although I think people that are like, don't suck probably know this already, but it doesn't work if you give with the expectation of getting something
100%.
back.
Totally.
You have to give with zero expectation. Perfect. So that's when it comes back. And but from a business owner, I fully empathize with the fact that, like, giving more time, more resources, more money in a time when everything is just fucking chaos, quite frankly, can be overwhelming. And it's not weird if you feel that way. My lesson learned is do it anyway. Figure out what's the easiest thing you can do for, like, so for instance, one of the things I do, it's a weekly thing now, is just like, so I've got these here, right? So these are all postcards. So I send out a handful of them every week for birthdays and gym anniversaries. Something little like that is like the lowest barrier for entry, like giving back. And it's just like, and it's not just like happy birthday. It's like, I try to put context, because I know all these people, about like what's going on. And that goes a long way. And then you can get more into the business aspect of it, of the loyalty type stuff. But it starts with just giving a shit.
It is the thought that counts, right? I mean, it's just taking the time to think about it, to give a shit. That costs you what? Those $2 total? You don't have to give a rower each time. You just have to give a shit. And I totally agree. If you just lean into something with the orientation of, I'm not expecting anything in return, you're going to get way more out of that.
Way more.
We're trying to angle something in return.
This is before we talk about the fact that it just feels good.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it
Absolutely.
just selfishly, like I just do it now just because it makes me feel good. Like what,
I
like just
agree.
to watch somebody's, I had like a moment here in the gym the other day where like a client and I like almost cried together, and I was like, all right, this
Yeah.
has been good. I got to get out of here. There's something in my eye.
Yeah, right.
So it's just stuff like that. I'm reading a book called The Culture Code. Have you ever read that
Mhm.
book?
No,
Oh, okay. So have you read The Talent Code?
no, I don't know.
Okay, so both written by Dan Coyle, but the talent code is essentially there. If you're looking for with regard to greatness, there's talent and then there's hard work, but greatness only comes with a pairing of both. So
Oh,
talent can only take you so far, and
yeah,
hard work can only take
yeah,
you so
totally
far.
agree.
But if
Totally.
I pair both of those, then I can really really achieve something special.
Mhm.
Culture code is talking about like how do you create great culture,
Mhm.
and then again like the small things, right? I'm reading this book and it talks about culture comes from a Latin word where the root word or culture actually means to care.
I like it.
So then when we're talking about like, oh, how do you create a good culture in your gym, because like culture is like a buzzword, right? Like everybody like
Yeah,
we have
totally.
great
What does it
culture
mean?
and it's just like,
Yep.
well, do you though? And then but like and then could you make that tangible? And I was like, do I care? And I think you can make it tangible. I think it takes a
Mhm.
lot of work, but I think you can make that tangible, and then it manifests itself in these things that are intangible. But
Dude, that's we've got a book club at O2. It's a
oh,
long
nice.
running thing that we've done for a while.
I dig it.
And it's pretty straightforward. I mean, each month I'll pick a book for us, and I try to pick different books that are relevant to the time. Um, but 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 recently we read a book called Grit. And have you read Grit yet?
Who wrote that book? Do you know?
Angela Duckworth.
I think I have read that book.
It's phenomenal, but it says the same thing.
Yeah.
It's talent and hard work. You need both, right?
Yeah.
Um, and part of the benefit of having this book club, like you see over the years, the people who you respect and the people who you want to be listening to, they're all saying the same shit.
Right.
It's like, be a good human, work hard, and take a minute to care for your people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
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 it.
it.
Right.
you
It's
know?
not. It's very much parallel with the idea of nutrition.
Yeah. Yes.
Simple, not easy. Simple, not
Totally.
easy. Not to
Totally
be
agree.
confused. Because
Totally agree.
on that same note, what you're talking about, one of the pillars of good culture is safety, and they're
Mhm.
talking about people feel safe in
Mhm.
the environment. They're talking
Mhm.
about either whether it's a client or whether it's your team, they need to feel safe. They need to feel
Mhm.
safe in the sense of that they have job security, that they feel safe, that they can give you feedback. They can feel
Mhm.
safe that if they make mistakes, they're not going to get put on the chopping block and thrown
Mhm.
out with the trash.
Mhm.
So how do you start to understand what great culture is? And this can be done macro all the way out to micro. So think
Mhm.
about your gym, your team, all the way out to the CrossFit
Sure. Yep.
affiliate nation.
Yep.
You can apply these all the way across the board. um, but like trying to create that safety for your members and for your team. And I think people that have at least at the very minimum tried to wrap their brain around those two things in this time of chaos
Yeah.
have probably seen the opposite of what everybody else is
Yeah.
seeing,
Totally.
which is growth.
Yes.
So for instance,
Absolutely.
we brought in more people last month of September, I think, in a given month than we may have ever brought in ever.
Oh, that's amazing. Hell yeah.
And in a totally different format. So we used to bring, so the numbers that we've done in the past where we've done something like that, it was just like, hey, you want to come in, you sign up, and then you're done.
Yeah.
We did this with a full onboarding process where we started with a full consult, and
Mhm.
then private sessions, and
Mhm.
then booking these out throughout the day for like 25, 27 people last
Nice.
month,
Nice.
and just spending more time with people,
Mhm.
showing them a little bit more TLC
Mhm.
goes a long way. And I mean, I'm pretty confident in saying this, but we could look at the numbers a year from now. Like retention is going to be better
I believe it. Sure.
as
Yep.
long as I continue
Yep.
to do that down the
Yep.
road. So,
Be a good
um,
human, care about your people, and give back.
yeah,
It's a simple thing, but we were talking earlier, around what we've been up to, how things have gone. I mean, I think that the thing that both of our organizations have done really, really well is taking an orientation towards our community and taking an orientation towards, again, being a good human, taking care of your people. whether that's people who work for you or the people in your community or your new members, or your new customers. It's giving back. It's having a heart forward orientation.
And if people are wondering like how this all works, you never know. So right, so that's just like, it's just, again, you have to give without expectation of getting anything in return. But then you have scenarios where you over deliver and you give a shit about your clients, regardless of what their struggles are. Just like you check in on them, like what's going on, how can I help you, what can I do for you? And then in return, there's things like they don't cancel their membership in a time like this, right? So that's like the lowest one. Or they want to bring in their friends, or they work in a specific industry and they're like, hey, I've got a business thing that you might want to look into that could help your business. And you're like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Thank you for that idea. I'm going to explore this and figure out like, maybe this could be something that we could do to help to make the business more sustainable long-term and create more safety and better culture and all these things. But it's just a long tail, right? It's just like, I just have to keep doing it and keep doing it. And eventually it starts to show up at your door and you're just like, where did all this shit come from? Like, how is this happening?
Yeah, man. That's the work hard part, right? Like,
exactly.
Hard, good human, take care of your people. Working hard that's hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time, and you got to do it consistently for a very, very long time for it to finally see the benefits unfold. Nothing is immediate. Nothing is a silver bullet.
So, like you and I have talked about your, I guess, like coming up in the business world. Like, what are some of the things? Because this is where I'm really sensitive about like having these discussions, but not making them practical, because there's just we get it, work hard.
Yeah. Yep.
So, as a business owner, how do you deal with the fact that I'm staring down this really long road of hard work with no idea when there's a return coming?
Yep.
Like, what do you do?
The thing that I always go back to personally, and that I'm always telling my team, is just focus on what you can control. Like none of us here can do a damn thing about the duration of the pandemic. We can't do anything about the divisiveness in society, apart from not contributing to it. But we can control some things. We can control what we do. We can control how we react to it. We can control what type of orientation that we take, right? So the thing the mantra that I've had to repeat to myself many, many times in the past, during some pretty dark times, was just focus on what you can control and put one foot in front of the other. Give your best day in, day out. Try to get a little bit better, but just focus on what you can control. And if you do that, eventually, it's like eating the elephant, right?
Yep.
It's just one bite at a time, man. If you do that, eventually you're done.
It's interesting you brought that up too, because I was on a little bit of a break, but I try to send an email to the gym every Wednesday. And it's like stuff like this. It's mindset stuff. It's my life, my life stories, all these fuck ups that I've been through and what I learned from it. But the one for today that I sent out this morning is called Playing Not to Lose. And this is something that my dad and I used to have conversations about like all the time, about like at the end of the game, you got to lead. It's kind of tight. Like you could still lose. And you see this in football specifically. Everybody goes to prevent defense. And the joke is the only thing that does is prevent you from fucking winning, because all you do is you've changed the mindset, right? It's like, okay, no long balls, but then it's just like short pass, short pass, short pass, short pass. And it's like, fuck, field goal. Like we lost. And again, not to get into the X's and O's of football, that strategy definitely has validity. However, it's worth kind of unpacking the mindset that happens there. And just like, okay, we're going to change what we've been doing to be on the winning end of this. And then we're going to kind of now try to just prevent chaos from unfolding, when instead, maybe what I should do is stay on the attack and 100%. Focus on winning, whatever winning looks like for you, rather than not losing.
Yeah, dude. I totally agree with that.
So it's like, that's the kind of mindset that I try to think about, where it's just like, okay, well, am I playing too much defense right now? Because yes, defense wins championships. We all get the fucking slogan, but I gotta do things that are proactive in nature, that would
always
look
be on the attack.
They're more offensive in nature. So that's what I try to think about. I was like, what could I be taking advantage of right now that nobody else is looking at? That
100%.
That might put me ahead 18 months from now.
Opportunity seized breeds more opportunity, without a doubt. you know, and you have to look for opportunity. You got to make opportunity. That's very offensive, I think, you know. Before I got into CrossFit, I actually sort of started my fitness journey with Krav Maga. Are you familiar? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, you and I have chatted a little bit about
Yeah,
this, but yeah.
There's a lot of overlap. I think it's because we're all masochistic people here.
For sure.
Krav Maga. The Krav Maga is Israeli Defense Forces self-defense and martial arts program, and it's got a reputation for being very, very aggressive, because it is. Mm-hmm. And the orientation is very, very offensive versus defensive. And one of the first things that you learn in Krav is, you know, you throw the first punch and you don't stop. Like if you punch, you better continue until that person is out cold.
That is the short version of the Israeli military. That's why
nobody talks exactly about right. 100%.
Like, no, we're good. We don't want to go to war with Israel because they're just gonna.
It's the opposite of, you know, we've all seen those horror movies where like the victim is running away from the monster or the attacker or whatever, and then, you know, gets a leg up on the attacker maybe hits him over the head with a pan, and the attacker falls down. The victim keeps running away. The attacker catches up with him and then kills him, right? Every time I see that, I'm like, no, man, stay on the attack.
Yeah. Kill the guy.
Knock that motherfucker out. Beat him into a bloody pulp. You know, do not stop until you've won. And I think that attack mentality is really important. And it's not really taught to us, you know, because it can, like anything else that's powerful, can be used for good or for evil. But if you use it for good, that's the way that you win, I think.
Yeah, I think where, and again, we're talking a lot of mindset stuff. I think where the gap can be is understanding, and I'm not sure if this is unique to CrossFit gyms. There's some weird mindset shit in CrossFit that I think actually puts a lot of the affiliate owners at a disadvantage, right? Which is inherently, we can largely say that by and large, the community is benevolent in nature. They're just like, we just want to give, we want to give, we want to give, we want to give.
Yeah.
And then when I open up my box, I treat my box that way rather than understanding that abundance can be passed around, right? So if I create a good business and I make it profitable and I create a safe environment and a stable financial entity that can employ other people, I can help more people, I can do more things. And there's just a lot of people that have a very hard time leaping that gap to go from, hey, it's not a bad thing to be successful. It's arguably a bad thing to be successful and selfish.
Yes.
Right. Which is like, hey, if, you know, and just for anybody who's having a hard time doing this, like if you're benevolent now, you're only going to be more benevolent if you have more to give.
100%.
Right. Like you're going to give more if you have more to give. The problem is we all get stuck in this scenario where it's like, I only have limited, and now I'm in the scarcity mode. Or like, well, I can't give away. That's all I have. But if I selfish for a little bit, you know, like I've had this thing that I kind of like tell myself, I'm like, selflessness requires selfishness. You can't give what you don't have. So I have to be selfish to some degree so that I can be selfless and give back to other people. And I think that's really, really important going through in order to make that happen. And that's just something I've always tried to keep in mind when I get in these hard. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you. You're good. No, you're good.
Scarcity.
No, you're good. And but that idea of like giving back when I'm in tough times is always something I try to keep in mind. Is like, don't retract. Like, move forward. Like,
yeah. And I think there's something of an evolutionary force at play here. You know, I think that we grow as people, and we've grown as, you know, as humans over the years, in part by taking an orientation towards our tribe and giving back to our tribe. It's self-preservation. It's also the preservation of one another. I think that's why it feels good to give back. You know, like our team has been lit on.
I lost them. Hold on. Come back on.
Or why?
I dropped you there, Dave. Hold on. All right, guys, technical difficulties here. Sorry. What we'll probably do is we'll probably get Dave back on here and then have to splice these together. But I may have dropped him. Let me see if I can get him back on, and I'll probably have to edit these. Yep. You there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, you're good.
Sorry, man. I'm not sure what's going on with my internet.
I think it's that cat that you adopted.
It's, this is the one time the cat is actually sleeping and being peaceful, like what kittens should look like a cute, adorable thing. This is the one time that's happened all day. I think we were talking about the sort of evolutionary mechanism at play back and orientation. I think that's why it feels good.
You were saying that your team has been like lit on fire.
Yeah, we've been lit up on fire because we've found something greater than ourselves to be a part of. We've been able to give back. We've been able to use O2 as a platform for good. And this has reminded me why I started this business in the first place so long ago. I didn't start this to make a drink company. I started this to build a company that society would be proud exists. That was the little mission statement that I had up on my refrigerator and looked at each day. And then I figured out that O2 could be a platform to do that. O2 could be a brand to help me do that. But to do that, you've got to give back and you've also got to grow. And I think that those things are very related. If you give back, it feels good.
Lost them again. What O2 doesn't have, everybody, is good Wi-Fi.
I lost you again, man. I'm so sorry.
We're going to do a 50-50 fundraiser for O2 to get you good Wi-Fi, Dave.
Oh boy, that would be amazing. You might need O2 to get me into geography because the Wi-Fi around here sucks in general.
So on that note, so let's talk about so give me the down and dirty on the 50-50 that you guys is it launch right now?
It's launched. This is week one.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was week one. I wasn't sure if this week or next week.
Yeah. So the short story is we saw an incredible impact with not only with our business, but more importantly, I think our community with round one. And so this is the profit sharing thing that we did with Born Primitive and Pure and a few others in March and April. We all committed to donate 50% of our profits back to gyms when their gym members would buy our products online. And collectively as a group, in 5 weeks, we generated over $230,000 to give back to over 2,600 gyms.
That's
and
awesome.
Then we did the Stay for May thing where we basically equipped every participating gym owner with a voucher, unlimited vouchers to reward to their members as long as their members kept their memberships active for the month of May. They would give people a $100 credit basically to O2, Born Primitive, and a couple other brands. And that was a huge, huge driver of engagement. It gave gyms something to talk about in a tough time. It gave members something to look forward to and be rewarded, for their loyalty in a tough time. And this was in the middle of the meltdown of CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
This was in the middle. We awarded those vouchers on June 1, and then the global meltdown of
the 7th, I think, or the 10th or something like that.
I think that's when the tweet heard around the world came out. And so, despite that chaos, we had about 60,000 members participate. And it was that's a whole lot of people among over 2,000 gyms, I think. And so, we've seen the impact of that in our community. We mentioned it being a win for brands. We mentioned it being a win for gyms, and we mentioned it being a win for gym members. And there are not that many things that I've been involved with that tend to be a win-win-win for everybody. And this is one of them. And so we've effectively been planning round 2 since then, because our thesis is, as much as we want it to, COVID's not going away anytime soon. We think that, we're probably in the 4th inning of this. And we've got a ways to go. As the weather turns, it's going to be more and more challenging. Unfortunately, I heard a statistic yesterday that at this point, about 100,000 small businesses have closed in the United States. And we've got another, good probably 6 to 9 months of challenges ahead of us as small business owners. And so we know that what we did in the spring worked really well to help gyms retain members and to get their members engaged. And so we kicked off round 2 of this on Monday. And so the brands that we have involved are really, really, really great, powerful brands. They're all run by good people that make good products. I know I've been talking a lot, so I'll stop there. But
no, you're good. So so talk about some of the brands real quick. So there's some slight changes there, but I don't remember the full list.
Yeah, so we had 6, now we've got 8. Some of them are the same, some of them are different. They're all, they're all pretty big, and they've all got a pretty wide audience, wide reach too. And that's something, going back to our conversation about doing good and growth. Like if you want to leave a positive impact, you've got to be somewhat sizable.
You got to be able to reach a sizable group of people.
Exactly. And so we went into round 2 with the premise of, hey, we've got a proven plan here. Let's increase our reach. Mm-hmm. And so the brands that have joined us, and these are largely in order of when they'll be active in the coalition, and that what that means is every brand is going to offer a special offer for members, whether it's 10% off or 20% off or whatever. But the unifying thing is going to be each time a gym's code is used to unlock that special offer on the brand's website, the brand will commit 50% of the profits from that transaction back to the local gym owner.
Got it.
So that's the premise. Same thing that we did in the spring, just this time bigger and better. So the brands are Four Sigmatic, which not many people in our space seem to be familiar with, but it's been something that's a brand I've followed for a long time. They basically have pioneered adaptogens in the United States. So adaptogen mushrooms. They're best known. I got turned on to their mushroom coffee, which sounds gross, but it's actually amazing, by either Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan, maybe 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that's where I know of them from, from Joe Rogan.
Yeah. And they have had, it's a group of Finnish guys, and they have had explosive global growth over the past 5 or 6 years. And they're an enormous company. I don't,
So for anybody who doesn't know what they do, I mean, they essentially kind of dabble in the world of nootropics.
Nootropics, yes, exactly.
Which is brain food essentially, which I'm a huge fan of. I've been playing around with nootropics for 5 or 6 years.
Dude, it's I'll take any edge I can get, man. So
like the two that I've played, the two that I've never used Four Sigmatic, but I've been using either Alpha Brain from On It, or I've been using Qualia for a long time. I'm a big fan of both.
I thought about Qualia, actually. You and I might have to talk a little bit more about that.
I like both of them. I definitely notice the difference for sure. Yeah.
And that's my experience with Four Sigmatic too. So they started with mushroom coffee.
What if we took all 3 at the same time?
I don't know if we'd be having this conversation. Not in this atmosphere.
No, not in this world. We'd be in an alternate universe.
But Four Sigmatic makes great stuff. They also just released a vegan protein that actually tastes good, and I can attest to that.
Oh, that is a tall order, my friend.
That's huge, and it's really tough, and theirs is really good. So good human beings with good quality products. Those are the 2 minimum, requirements for being involved here. And they certainly meet that. Another brand that most people in our space is familiar with, GoWad. So they're joining as well.
Awesome people.
Really, really good people. Really good people, and they make a great product. Another same thing. RPM, which again most people are familiar with in our space. Peori is back for round 2.
Nice.
Or Primitive is back for round 2.
Nice.
And then we've got Lesser Evil and GoRuck also joining.
GoRuck's always one that gives back a lot. What's Lesser Evil about?
Lesser Evil makes what I love about their brand name is it's pretty telegraphic what they do. They make snacks that aren't bad for you, basically.
Nice.
So they have like these protein puffs that are kind of like Cheetos that you don't have to feel bad about eating. We've been stationed next to their booth at places like the MAC event, for example, even the CrossFit Games, and I always go through a bunch of their stuff. So it's
That's
really
awesome.
good protein-based snacks.
That's very cool. So where can people find out more about this? So that if they want to participate, again, this can be a win-win. So if any gym owner's just I don't want to push the stuff, listen, your members are probably going to buy something from one of those entities anyway. You might as well give them a discount, and then you will in turn benefit from it. So why not? And this is the same principle. So what I think is interesting about the way you guys have dialed this up is also, I think, how gyms should offer their referral program, right? Mm-hmm. So what you guys did was you gave me the ability to give the discount. It's not coming from you.
Yep.
And that's the way we run our referral program. the gym doesn't offer referrals.
Mm-hmm.
The members can refer people, at which point they will get something back. So now there's social proof. There's the ability for them to feel good to give back. It's like, so you can tee all these things up, which I think is really cool the way you did that, because now it's a win-win-win all the way across the board, start to finish.
Absolutely. So those are the brands involved. We're running that same playbook in October, where different brands will have different offers that are showcased at different times. Communitycoalition.fitness is the website. And so everybody's going to be tracking 50% of profits from each transaction to give back to the local gym.
I'm assuming all these brands have this. If I just go to any one of their websites, I'm assuming it's like plastered all over the website.
It depends on the brand. It's on all offers, at least those that are active, are on communitycoalition.fitness.
Got it. Okay.
And so go there first. I like this as a communication tool. We're all looking for stuff to talk about with our audiences.
Yes.
Communication is key. We know that. I get you don't want to be seen as like the used car salesman pumping products in your gym, nor should you be. But this is something to talk about. It's another thing. It's the power of community. It's look what these brands are doing, and this is how it relates to what we're doing here at our gym. We believe in community. We believe in each other. We're looking out for each other. It just gives you something to talk about.
Yeah, and you don't have to jam it down people's throat, because again, the more brands there are, which is good. There's 8 in there.
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood that somebody's been kind of like creeping on one of these brands is pretty high in a CrossFit affiliate. So all you're doing is helping them not spend as much money. So go ahead, just put it out there.
Totally.
Just educate them on it. Think of it as education, not selling. Be like, hey, I'm educating you that there's this thing out there that you can do. And by the way, it'll benefit the gym if you do that. And they're just like, cool. Done.
Exactly. That's the approach for sure. What I'm most excited about, we haven't announced this to the public yet, but what
you guys get here on Best Hour of Their Day is breaking news. Breaking news.
So we're going to be doing the voucher program again, and so at the end of October, we're going to tell gyms and gym members, hey, if you all keep your memberships active for the month of November, then your gym owner is going to be able to award you a either $150 or $200 voucher to these brands right in time for holiday shopping season.
That's great.
So the first one was $100. Now we're shooting for $200, and it's going to be really timely, I think, too, because people are pulling out their wallets for December, right?
Yep.
Shopping season is important, and November is a colder month and historically not a great month for retention. So we're trying to equip gym owners with another retention tool to reward loyalty. So we'll call it No Quit November is instead of Stay for May this time.
I dig it. Well, listen, man, I could do this all day. We'll have to do this.
I know, dude. This is great.
But I got to go coach the noon class. Anything else you want to put out there?
No, I mean, I this is going to sound cheesy, but our belief really truly, and O2 is a team of right now 8 people. We're hiring, but we've got a very limited number of people on the team, but all of them are oriented towards CrossFit, the community, and we've got a former gym owner. Almost half, if not all my staff, or most of my staff is at least an L1. And so we believe in this, and we believe in it because we're in it, and we believe in it because it's pretty obvious to anyone paying attention. Gym owners are among the most important people of our society, especially right now. So anyone who's listening, I'm sure, has made a ton of sacrifices to keep their members fit and healthy in order to fight shit just like this, just like COVID, right? And so if there's anything else that we can do as a brand or as people on O2's side, tell us. My email is dave@drinko2.com. I am all ears all the time. And so we're very oriented towards helping because A, we know it's the right thing to do, and B, we're big believers in our community, and C, we know it's going to come back in the end too. So if we can help, tell me. I'm all ears.
Send that email, and that's where we will end it. Brother, awesome. Thanks a lot. This has been amazing. If you guys have any more questions, hit me up, hit Dave up, but don't miss out. This is an opportunity. Take advantage of it. You won't regret it, even if it's just, a little bit that comes back to you. Better than nothing in these hard times. Start taking advantage of opportunities that are given to you. All right, guys, we will see you next time.
Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't already, do us a favor. Head over to the Apple Podcast app and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback for either Fern, or myself, hit us up, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com, or send us a DM over on Instagram at besthouroftheirday. Once again, we couldn't do this without the amazing community, and you are a part of it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting Best Hour of Their Day.